Hey guys, we're in Southern California. We're at Fashion Island, really beautiful mall, and I'm with the founder of the Electric Bike Company here. How are you doing, Sean?
Very well, thanks. How are you doing, Gord?
It's a pleasure to meet you because we've spoken on the phone and I've met Bob in the past. He was
Yes.
actually here and he's back at the booth. Neat to see the updates on your newest model. So this is the S. You also have the C.
Yes.
So there's kind of a classic high step or cantilever as it
Yes.
kind of comes to mind, or the step through. I really like this frame because it's so approachable. You've got these big swept back handlebars, beautiful touch points, locking grips, branded, extra large comfy saddle. It's just a classic cruiser. It's simple. You hop on this thing, it's got the throttle, it's got pedal assist, you've got integrated lights, there's optional fenders, there's this optional aluminum alloy basket in the front with mesh so you could carry around some goodies or maybe a kitten or
That's
something.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Kids and a dog, some precious cargo.
Precious cargo, yeah. I mean, these bikes are great. And one of the things that struck me about it in 2017, when I reviewed it, it was kind of the older model. You made some enhancements since then. It was just how powerful it was and how simple it was.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things you'll notice about the cockpit up here is that it's pretty clean. You know, we've got a trigger throttle on the right, we've got a button interface here on the left, and then a nice big display there in the center with a USB port. Check that out. Full size USB Type A, so you could plug in and maybe have your smartphone or some waterproof Bluetooth speakers that you guys sell. These guys have tons of accessories. What are some of the others? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you can have a bell as well.
With that light?
Yeah, with the lights, with the emergency lights on. You can have the basket in the front and the basket in the back.
Yeah.
You can also have the surfboard attachments. We also
What was, and this, check this out. This is not an option. This comes stock. It's like this little remote thing so you can,
Yes.
a little alarm.
Yes, and a little alarm works just like a car alarm. If the bike moves, then it gives you a warning.
A little squeak.
Yeah, and then if it moves again, if somebody moves it for a little while, then the extra alarm will go off, and it gives you enough time just to get back to your bike again.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's really fun.
Yeah.
So this bike, it starts at $18.99 MSRP. It steps up a little bit depending on some of those accessories. So we're looking at the stripped down version here. This is a bit lighter. It's about 60.5 pounds. Otherwise, it's up above 70 pounds when you get the steel fenders. They are paint matched, very much like this steel chain cover. Steel tends to be rigid, okay? So it's not gonna rattle around a whole lot, and that's nice. But one thing that I can't show you here, but they have a little reflective mud flap at the base of the front reflector, and that's so, if you're pedaling and you might kick it or something, or if you come into contact with a curb or the wheel kind of tips to the side, steel rusts, okay? So some of the other steel components, we talked about the chain cover. Oh boy. We got the alarm. Steel fork, steel handlebar. Steel is strong and it has some vibration dampening qualities, okay? So, the extra wide, kind of a school bus setup gives you that upright body position so you can look around, talk to your friends, and have a nice, comfortable, relaxed ride. Also, look at how low that saddle is able to go, in large part because of how they've positioned this rack. So it's a really big looking battery, but they have two battery options. We're looking at the 48 volt, 2 amp hour. Pretty good. We're roughly 500 watt hours on that, but they have another one that's like 48 volt, 16.4 or something, huge. Great for the extra range, or if you're someone who's really laying on the throttle, because this motor, it's branded by MXUS. It's an internally geared hub motor. It offers 500 all the way up to over 1,000 watts of power. I mean, it's very, very zippy, torquey. It gives you the throttle, or it gives you the cadence sensing assist. There are 8 magnets on that, so it's pretty responsive and it's tucked in. This is kind of the old-fashioned style, though. You got the plastic disc with the little sensor. Thankfully, it's really well protected by that 56-tooth chainring, extra large, because there's only one gear. So I talked about, simplicity here. One chainring and then one sprocket, and they give you an option of 16 tooth or 18 tooth. So if you want it to be a little easier, but your pedal cadence is slower, you go with the 18 tooth. And then if you want to go faster, because this is a speed pedal, it goes up to 28 miles per hour, then you go down to the 16 tooth. So a little bit of choices here. And they also have the mounting points for if you wanted to add like a 7-speed derailleur. You could do that yourself. But this is all about simplicity, fun. You got the throttle. pretty responsive cadence sensing assist, so you don't really have to push once you're moving. I mean, you could start with the throttle and then you can start pedaling a little bit. You don't have to push it, it's on off type of a feeling, and there are 5 levels of assist. I do want to point out a point of vulnerability here. You don't have a derailleur hanging down that could get kicked or bent, but you do have the motor power cable, and it's run pretty nicely here. We have a quick disconnect, so if you have to change a flat tire or something, but you don't want to have that snag or have the bike tip on it or something. Most hub motors have that point of vulnerability, so I'm just trying to give you a heads up here. And we have the Maxxis Gypsy tires here, 26 by 2.10, a little bit fatter, and you can see that. It adds some comfort. The increased air volume gives you stability, so when you're riding along, the bike doesn't jitter around quite as much. It's a little bit slower, but this is a cruiser. It fits really well for that type of application. E-bike specific silk shield, so it has some puncture protection qualities. And then these are pre-slimed. They have puncture protection like goop inside, so if you do get a puncture, it's supposed to be self-sealing. Schrader valves, extra wide. These are like 40 millimeter rims. We've got 13 gauge spokes in the rear, stainless steel. 14 gauge up front, so a little bit narrower. That gives you some vibration dampening as well, and it lightens it up. But when you're talking about a powerful hub motor like this, especially with the weight of the battery, and this is a little bit heavier, it's lighter than the one with the fenders and the basket, but you want to have that strength built in. And I think you said it's like 360 pound max rider capacity.
Yes,
that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's really good. And with a rack like this, putting some gear, putting some panniers on the side, it is thicker tubing, right, to support the 2 sizes of batteries. It has an integrated light in the rear, which is really nice, and the headlight. There's a lot here to appreciate, and you can't see it. I might do an overlay, but they have that basket that could mount to the front, and these cables are all kept, really clear. They're out of the way. They're nicely wrapped. And then there's this light here, so that is the blaze light with 2 LEDs. So it's just giving you a little bit more see where you're going, plus be seen by oncoming traffic, and it shines out the side. I'm going to show that in a minute. I appreciate that this also mounts to the front of that basket if you get it. The basket does not turn when you steer, which might be a little weird at first, but it's actually a better way to do a basket, because then it's mounted to the frame and you're not going to dump the basket when you park. Sometimes your handlebars tip, the basket won't tip. So I really like that basket. This is a purpose-built frame. A lot of these wires are still internally routed, even though they're a little bit exposed right here. They're just really nicely bundled and protected there. So aluminum alloy frame, and that's kind of nice. Relatively lightweight. We've got 2 tubes here, so that's supposed to make it a little bit stiffer, but there is still some frame flex. You can see the butt of the bike wiggling a little bit, and that's one of the compromises when you go with a rear rack battery and a rear hub motor here. It's a rear heavy bike, but it's spread out decently here with those bigger tires, and I love that with that extra weight, you also get hydraulic disc brakes in this case. Okay, so these are not going to stretch over time like mechanical. They've got adjustable reach levers. These are 4-finger levers with a ball on the end. That's something in Europe that they require, so your fingers don't slip off. These ones have motor inhibitors, so it overrides the power of that motor, and that's really important with a cadence sensor, because again, you might just be moving your pedals a little bit, and because you're startled or something and you're braking, the brakes override the motor. Really important. Or you've got your finger. It's not as common here. If this was a twist throttle, it's easy to imagine, like, oh, you get a little excited and you twist accidentally. This trigger throttle is a little bit safer. Okay, so I like that. I feel like they've made some excellent decisions here. Some of the problems you're going to have with this bike is that it is just so wide because of those bigger bars. You got comfort, you've got relaxed body position, but they're wide. So if you're going through doors, those levers are going to probably scuff the doors occasionally. Be careful with that. Awesome kickstand, really big, adjustable length, and it's probably where it should be to stabilize the big battery, but it's in the way of the left crank arm. See, so you get pedal lock just like that. I do really like the pedals they've chosen. They're rigid, they give you a great surface area, plenty of space for bigger feet, but that rubber can get a little bit wet and slippery too. If you do slip off, you're not going to cut your shins. It's just going to kind of, that's something I think about here, because this is a casual, more of a like for fun bike, cruising around the neighborhood, enjoying yourself that way. And then there's the other disc brake at the rear. So 180 millimeters gives you a good mechanical advantage, and you want that for such a relatively larger bike, and for potentially heavier loads and heavier people. I think that's everything that comes to mind here, but I want to invite Sean back because this company's been around since 2013, and is there anything I've missed or that you want to call out?
Yeah, I suppose the one nice thing is we try to make it as simple as possible and as maintenance-free as possible. So we've also got the retractable cord, of course, where you can
That's
just plug.
right. You're the battery guy, right? You're all about like convenience.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of options here, and I think the plug, it's on this side, and it's kind of like on a vacuum. There you go. Pull it out. You can plug it right in. This is a 2-amp charger, so it might take 5 hours roughly.
That's
for
correct.
the larger, well, actually for the lower capacity battery. What do you estimate, like 7 hours for the higher capacity?
For the higher, 7 hours from dead. But typically it'll be about 4 or 5 in normal riding.
Okay, and then whether the bike's on or not, I think you can get a sense for how full the battery is.
Yes.
You know, I took the battery out and weighed it, and I was trying to get some idea. You know, a lot of people will park this in their garage and get hot or super cold, and that can be tough on lithium-ion batteries. So it's best to sort of avoid those extreme temperatures and avoid letting it drop below roughly 20% because the chemistry changes. That's
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And tell me more. You have fuses. You have cells that are sealed.
Yes.
Fill me in.
Yeah. So what we've done is for the safety, and we've got a nickel plate that lays over the cells and that individually fuses each individual cell.
Wow.
So each cell has its own fuse, and that's important for battery safety.
Yeah.
As well as we've got temperature, we've got 2 temperature sensors inside the battery pack that are relayed directly to the battery management system, that if there's any temperature that's really either too cold or too hot, particularly too hot, it will then shut down the BMS, and then you would have to send it back into it for us if it's so that there might be a malfunction in the battery before it gets catastrophic.
And you have an amazing warranty. Okay, so it's like 5 years.
Yes.
And that covers pretty much everything.
That's correct. The battery is very important, particularly for rental companies and for people that use it a lot.
Do you have a lot of rental companies? I mean, that's a cool application.
Yeah. Hawaii, we've got guys in Kauai. We've got some folks down in North Carolina.
Wow.
So what we want to do is we want to have ease of access to be able to replace the batteries, charge them off-site.
Right.
But also what you wanted to make sure that it had the capacity. We wanted to make, if the guy wanted 10 amp hours, he gets 10 amp hours. If he wants larger than that, 16 amp hours, then he can actually have it all in the same casing. So that's his option.
It's pretty well protected. You know, when you slide the battery out, it fits inside this plastic casing. There's a fan over here. There's the retractable cord thing. So you're not losing chargers. It's kind of interesting. There must be like a separate charger to charge the battery off the bike.
Correct.
Okay.
And it can actually plug into the back of the battery, and that's basically 2.5 times faster than the internal charger.
Okay, great. So that's back to, there are lots of options and accessories and ways to just customize this bike, and there are several colors. So there's like the black, white, red, and I think in the past they've had like orange or silver. So there's, who knows in the future. There's just a lot here, and being around since 2013 and refining this product, maybe some things in the future we'll see like a front thing going on, or there's like that trailer hitch you've got. So if someone wants to pull like a kid trailer, is that what that's for?
That's correct. What we try to do is we just specializing, we focus on a beach cruiser style bike.
Yeah.
And then we don't do any folding bikes or mountain bikes, but we just look at the beach cruiser and a cruiser comfortable bike. And then we just focus in on the details of the components and of the hardware. And that's really our business, the electric beach cruiser, but every detail is taken care of.
Okay, and one of the things, it's controversial, but we talked about this before, and the single gear thing. And it's like, well, there's a trade-off between simplicity, tuning the gears and hearing them click and stuff, versus not worrying about the chain falling off, not having extra cables. It's a little bit cleaner up here, not having shifters. And so you just went simple. You're like, okay, single speed, two choices on the rear sprocket. You can add the derailleur, but it's just simple. That's the idea.
Correct. We feel that if you're going from 0 to 20 on throttle, or you can go 0 to 28 on pedal assist. In fact, those gears are irrelevant. Really what we want is if you want to pedal over the electrical assist, and that's why we've got the bigger chainring in the front and then the smaller one in the back. So then you can actually pedal after your assist, that you're not just cruising with your throttle on, that you're actually getting your workout if you want that.
Well, there is the trade-off. So if you try to pedal this thing, let's say the battery runs out or something, you kind of have to stand up. It's like you're moving a little bit more weight. There's only one gear. But with the larger battery, that's probably, even the 500 watt hour batteries, that's you've got at least 20 miles, like with the throttle right there. That's a long way on a bike.
Correct.
And one of the other options you have, I forgot about this, is suspension seat post.
Yes.
So that's the SR Suntour NCX.
That's
and
right.
it's silver. It beautifully matches this whole thing. I love it.
Yeah, so you'll just pull that off and then you charge the external charging port inside there.
Okay.
We try to keep it water sealed.
Yeah, that's nice. Everything's like, water resistant on this bike. I'm going to jump into the display now, which is nicely branded, and it's got their website, ElectricBikeCompany.com. It's getting to be evening time here, and I do love that this bike has some lights. It does not have reflective tires like sidewall stripes, but the white frame is excellent. It's got a nice visual footprint from the side for safety.
Very nice.
It's for one of my things here. So we hold the power button, so it's up, power, and down. So hold the power button for a second. Nice. The backlighting comes on for just a second. If we want to keep that on, you hold the up. There we go. So the light icon comes on. So we've got what looks like a 4-bar battery indicated, but there's actually 5 because the cell itself, that's your 5th bar. Try not to let it drop that low though. Remember what I was saying, like below 20%, it's sort of harmful on the batteries. We've got a time over here, assist level. It starts in 1, so your throttle's going to be live and pedal assist is going to be live. If you want, you can just turn all of that off. So the throttle isn't active anymore. You're basically just a bike at this point, but a bike with lights. So that's one of the really cool things. When I turned on the backlighting of the display, that's when we got the blaze light. Oh yeah, look at that, really nice. And then in the back, we've got another light with a reflector. It kind of reminds me of Spaninga. I don't know who makes this, but this is sometimes I see just like 2 LEDs, and this one's a little bit nicer than that. They also sell like a cup holder and a phone holder. There's a bunch of other accessories, and you can check out their website for that. Speed, right now it's miles per hour. Motor, watts, so that's as we use it. Let's see if we can arrow up and then maybe tilt the bike. And will you tilt? Yeah, just kind of lift it up a little bit. There we go. So you can see the watts surging, and then this nice hydraulic disc brakes, smooth. With adjustable reach, I should say. So these are 4-finger levers, and if you're someone with like limited hand strength, or maybe you're wearing gloves, you can adjust those nicely without having to mess with cables or anything. And the right brake, it has to go further to get to the rear disc brake rotor. So, a lot of times the right brake on mechanical levers is harder to pull because the wire's going all that way. So again, I just love hydraulic, and that's a big deal for me personally. And then down here we've got distance right now, but if you press the power button, it kind of cycles through. So, the speed went to average speed, and then down here it went to odometer, max speed, and then voltage. So that's another way you can see the battery. Officially, it's 48 volt, 10 amp hours, but the truth is it's kind of closer to 52 is what you see here, and then 10.2 or whatever. So they're being kind of generous on their specs on the website. And if we want to get to more settings, all you have to do is hold up and down simultaneously. Let's try without the light. There we go. Okay, so we just discovered that you can't get into the settings menu if the light's on, if the backlighting. Okay, so we turned the light off, and then we held up and down for a second, and see how it's saying 45 kilometers? That's your max speed, so that's roughly 28 miles per hour. If you want, you can say, I want to make this class 2 and limit to 32 kilometers per hour. In the United States, that's roughly 20 miles per hour. So if you're in Europe, you could take it down to 15. That's 25 kilometers per hour. So there's a lot of adjustments here in terms of top speed. And some people don't want the power. They don't want the higher speed. But I do for this review. So I'm going to take it all the way up to 45. Sweet. And then hit the power button here to cycle to the next menu. And this is where we say wheel size, 26 inches. That's fine. That's what they are. And then speed, miles per hour or kilometers per hour. So you can switch it back and forth, and you notice it went to Celsius down there instead of Fahrenheit. So very cool. And then I press power again, and it just sort of cycles through. That's it. That's the full menu. I'm going to hold the power button here for a second. It exits, and see the backlighting turned off, but the display is still on. So that's it. Now I'm going to boot up the display again with the backlight. Okay, I think we're ready for a test ride. Does that sound good?
It sounds good.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I'm going to stow the kickstand like that. Oh, and then you don't have to leave the key in while riding, and we don't want that to jingle around. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out and just hand this back to Sean. Yeah, thank you. Right. Got an ultra low saddle position for me. I am not going to be getting full leg extension, but that's okay because we got the throttle, and that's part of the, sometimes people like to be able to sit down on the saddle and have their feet touching the ground so they feel stable. And again, it's only like 17-inch standover height, so the bike is just super approachable that way. I'm going to just start taking this thing for a ride. Notice how quiet that was. It's not like the chain's bouncing around because there's no derailleur. There's only that one speed. Nice and fluid on that trigger throttle. Pretty powerful. Definitely feeling it. Very nice. And you do get full throttle power. It overrides all those levels of assist. Doesn't matter if you're in one, you're still getting full power. Nice smooth hydraulic disc brakes there. Very nice. So the throttle works pretty well. One of the interesting things about pedal assist on this bike is that you have to actually turn it on. It doesn't start that way. So you hold the down arrow for just a second and you get the little walk guy. So this bike doesn't have walk mode. It just enables pedal assist. So I'm gonna do that. I hold down for a second. Okay, I see assist, and we saw the guy blink there for a second. So now when I pedal, that cadence sensor is gonna activate and it's gonna give me some extra support. Very nice, and I said some, but it really gets you going. But it takes a second. It takes me like maybe a full pedal stroke before it kicks in. The great news is you can still override that with the throttle at any time with full power. Okay, and then here's the no hands. Not getting speed wobble here. And I'm going over some kind of bumpy terrain. It's feeling pretty stable, and I think that's because of those bigger, Maxxis tires that we were talking about earlier. So the bike is, very comfortable, very upright. Hey guys, you're mounted to the handlebar, so it's going to be kind of funky when I steer, but I thought this would be a good position for you to be able to see when I start and stop pedaling. It's hard to get this thing going without using the throttle, so it's nice that the throttle overrides assist and that it's kind of a variable speed thing. You can just be gentle with it if you want. That's usually how I've been starting. A little bit of speed with the throttle, start pedaling once you hit a comfortable ratio, because again, there's only one gear, and then adjust pedal assist to just, go whatever speed feels the most comfortable for you. So let's do that. And again, 8 magnets, so it takes a minute for that to kind of kick on. I'm gonna start with the throttle, and then I'll do some pedal assist for you. Really just super comfortable. Like even going over those little bumps, there's kind of like divider bumps or something, no noise. Like the chain is not hitting the chain cover. I don't have the fenders on, but steel, again, it's stiff. There's the rust potential, but it's stiff. It's just real comfortable with these big bars and the padded saddle. Comfortable and powerful. Those are two things that really come to mind. And then again, starting with that throttle, easing into pedal assist, and just, kind of having fun, cruising around. There is a little bit of a zip sound with the geared hub motor, but that's just kind of the name of the game. Most hub motors do have a little bit of sound. I like that it's silvered. It matches the spokes and some of the other accents, including that optional suspension seat post. Really nice. The bars, pretty beautiful. Okay, you're mounted to the right portion of the rack, which I like. It kind of protects the battery if the bike tips over or something. But from here, you should be able to see and hear that motor pretty well. And I'm gonna take it up a little bit faster, try to get to 28. I've gotten to 25, and it's pretty fast, pretty thrilling, especially in the evening like this. But yeah, you just see how that feels. The bike is just super fast. Very thankful that it has those hydraulic disc brakes. There is that frame flex, like it's just part of the deal with these step-through frames and a rear rack battery. but you know, it's not uncommon. Pedigo sells bikes like this. We've got some iZips with racks and stuff. It's just a trade-off, something to consider. But I like that these guys, they sell in the US, Canada, and now they ship worldwide. So the warranty, there's the shipping, there's just some of the other price point things that you want to think about a little bit. I wanted to show the third person, so Sean is going to hop on. It's a white one. It doesn't have a helmet, but it's just a short distance, right around here in the parking lot. Be safe and go for it, buddy.
Thank you.
Headlights pretty impressive. You can see it for quite a good distance. Oh yeah, brake check. Very, very nice. So it's interesting, the way the bike starts up, it's just throttle mode, and then you have to hold down for a couple seconds and then the assist comes on. So you know, that's kind of nice. It starts out more like a scooter.
Yes.
You're not going to accidentally bump the cadence sensor and have it take off. Again, the override is really nice. Okay, and then this is one of the other colors. It's the beautiful red. This is one of the bikes that Bob, another employee, rides around all the time, and it looks like it's holding up pretty well. But you know, it's got some dirt on it and stuff because he's riding around town. Maybe that's your last generation? Does it have...
this is one of our prototypes about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years ago.
Look at the light. Yeah, this is what we were talking about, the little bell thing. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's got the older brakes on there, which we upgraded.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like the look of the new ones with the silver levers and stuff.
That's right.
You really got that beautiful style. Guys, I think that's it. It's been fun. You know, we're getting to be nighttime here, so those lights are really paying off. But thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate your insights and the time here.
Yeah, thank you, Court.
As always, you know, sound off with your comments, questions, or whatever, especially if you have one of these bikes or you know someone who does. It's nice to get your feedback here or maybe in the forums. Have fun out there. Ride safe.